but I've already eaten up about half of my lunch break, so we need to try and be done at noon. Yep.
All right, good, barely. Good morning. It's Tuesday, and
What are we going to taco about?
For starters, let me apologize for the late start. We didn't do one this morning. I should have mentioned it yesterday morning, giving y'all a heads up. I just didn't think about it.
Guys, don't feel bad. He forgot to even tell me, and I'm the fucking co-host.
Yeah, sorry. I had an appointment at the VA this morning, so I had to leave early. I was driving to Decatur when we would normally have been on the show, and while I can bring somebody into the studio over Skype while they're mobile, synchronizing this over two phones is a no-go. But anyway, so I hit the VA and I got all that handled. So what are we going to taco about today? We're going to taco about the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden treason hat trick.
Yeah, just real quick before you jump into it, man. I've actually been pushing. Oh, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. And for whatever reason, we just haven't gotten to it. And man, has that ended up being a blessing in disguise, because there have been some developments, and
to say the least,
we're going to move into some speculation. So, spoilers. No, not spoilers. Everything we're going to say is allegedly, okay? Let's just be clear.
No, not everything we're going to say, but we are going to be forced into some speculation territory. It's not really speculation. It's advised speculation. So when you're doing an investigation, part of what you do is you look at the information available, and you try to understand where your gaps in information are and what could possibly fill in those gaps in information, and then go and look for evidence of that. And if you find that there's not evidence of the thing that you suspected might fill in the gap in your information, then it means that, then it can mean that your supposition was incorrect and you need a new one. And often what happens in that process is you'll have information A and C, and you'll suspect that B is a probability. And then in the course of investigating B, you just run into dead ends. And so you go after D, and while you're investigating a second supposition, you find evidence that leads you back to B. And sometimes you just keep going and going and going until you actually find the evidence. Often what compromises an investigation is, well, obviously, apart from actual bias, which I think there's plenty of evidence for that here, is just hitting the dead ends. Sometimes you'll have suppositions that you can guarantee almost entirely off of the circumstantial evidence. They use the word circumstantial evidence as a buzzword in your police drama shows. Let's be very clear on something. All material evidence is circumstantial. The claim that it's circumstantial evidence and so it's not as valid as some other kind of evidence. No. All evidence is circumstantial by definition.
99% of the time, the bad guys don't write an email bragging about the illegal activity they've conducted. And yet, you have that other 1% of the time. Oh, Jesus.
Hey, real quick, the subscription reminder just played. Was it really loud, guys? Because it shouldn't be. Just y'all let me know in the comments over there, and we'll dig into this a little bit. So, I am of the opinion, and I don't generally have opinions. I have come to the conclusion from the observations of the evidence that, yeah, I have opinions. I prefer chocolate ice cream to vanilla in most circumstances.
Right.
Well, no, that's a preference. But
we're not doing an English lesson this morning. We got let's I
mean,
because this is so fucking scandalous.
We're
let's
always
do it,
stumble
man.
into. So we're talking about the Hunter Biden laptop hat trick, the trifecta of treason, right? Because here's what needs to be understood: the laptop situation is three arguably
scandals.
four, but really three very distinct and separate, but connected scandals. The first and most obvious is that the laptop apparently links Joe Biden to corruption in not just in the Ukraine and in China, but, and we'll get back to this, but specifically to Burisma. And this is part of the third scandal, but specifically to Burisma. That's a huge scandal.
Vice President Joe Biden is involved in pay to play, and this is like full blown mafia level shit here, where like he'd get his kids these contracts, and then somewhere down the line, they just give Pop 50% of the money because they love him.
And in the emails, they literally referred to that money as equity held for H, equity held for B, equity held for the big guy, right? And now there's apparently a witness that will testify that the big guy is absolutely code for Joe.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the evidence is nice, but if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it lays little eggs that hatch baby ducklings,
then it might be snorting cocaine off an underage Chinese sex slave.
This is true. Oh yeah, that's scandal number 2.
It's quick. Not. That's not scandal number 2. That's part of the main scandal, and there is a fourth scandal that's almost immaterial. So Hunter Biden has apparently been involved in some really shady stuff that may actually rise to and include trade in sex slaves, international trade in sex slaves. I suspect that him being a crackhead, which is not in question at all at this point, that has not been in question for some time. We're talking about somebody who was thrown out of the United States military because of his drug addictions.
We're talking about somebody that returned a car one time with a bunch of coke and fake IDs in it.
No. It was crack. We're going to be making a lot of semantic distinctions, and occasionally they need to be funny. So let's get to the second scandal. And here's the terrifying bit. Scandals 2 and 3 may be worse, may be more substantial than scandal number 1, which is that we are currently at risk of electing a Chinese puppet, a Chinese/Ukraine puppet to the White House.
A demented Chinese puppet.
Yes, a man who is absolutely compromised by foreign assets and is a dementia patient. Well, okay, he may not actually be a dementia patient yet, but let's remember that when you ask yourself the question, is it likely that this 80-year-old man is in cognitive decline? Part of your math has to include his multiple brain surgeries for previous aneurysms, which absolutely have had a noticeable impact after each occurrence on his cognitive health. Now,
oh no, he's just got a stutter. A magical stutter.
Yes, a magical stutter, which was never mentioned in connection with his name before literally this year.
Oh, yes. So,
It's possible he had a stutter as a child and overcame it through therapy and training, but that he has a stutter has never been mentioned on the campaign trail in any of his previous attempts to attain the White House or successful runs at other elected offices. Now let's get to scandal number 2. Scandal number 2 is the censorship. The active censorship that's being conducted on the open, blatant censorship that's being conducted against the New York Post articles. It's not just censorship. This amounts to
it's election tampering. Yep.
Election tampering, and because it's so clearly one-sided, not just clearly one-sided, it's not just pro-Democrat. This is clearly in favor of Joe Biden in the middle of an election. That's not just election tampering. That's pretty clear election. That's
fraud.
A pretty clear election finance violation. Fraud isn't the right word, but it's definitely an election finance violation because it amounts to an in-kind contribution by an entity to a candidate outside of the permissible bounds. Because believe it or not, there's a cap. There's a cap on the value of what can be contributed to a campaign by a particular entity. And I dare you to put a dollar figure on we will hide that you are a Chinese spy, essentially. I dare you to put a dollar value on that falls under the cap.
Look, and I'm somebody that believes there shouldn't be caps. If you're a billionaire and you want to throw your money away on a shitty politician, I actually think you should be allowed to. However, there's the difference between...
rules.
Those are not the rules.
Exactly.
I happen to also believe that drugs should at the least be decriminalized, if not outright legalized. However, currently, that's the rules.
Yep. And just like with the idea of national mandatory mail-in voting, I'm sorry, when you're the people who are changing the rules in the middle of the game, you're the cheater.
Yes.
Oh, Donald Trump is trying to undermine Americans' confidence in the election system by not changing anything.
I know. The way it works right now got him elected once before. No shit, he doesn't want to change the rules. I mean,
and it got it got somebody else elected before too. If memory serves, it was all of the other ones.
Yeah, every president in living memory.
Like,
this is how it works.
The election activity has changed over time, going from a handwritten ballot to a punched ballot to an electronic ballot. But the election system that you go to a polling location and cast your ballot, that's been with us for a minute. Now, that's scandal number 2, that the big tech monopolies are involved in active election tampering. Did you have something else before I mentioned scandal number 3, and then we talk about how they all tie together?
Oh, no, I just wanted to throw in real quick before you move into scandal number 3. Let's be real clear. We know that this is Hunter Biden's laptop because Hunter Biden's lawyer called the repair shop and demanded the laptop back.
No.
I mean, what?
No, Cameron. It's worse than that. He sent them an email.
I said the word call for... Yeah, I said the word call for...
Yeah, he put it in writing, and Mayor Giuliani has that email. He has the email written by Hunter Biden's lawyer on Hunter Biden's behalf, explicitly mentioning Hunter Biden in the email and referring to the laptop as Hunter's laptop. So the question of whether or not it's Hunter's laptop has been absolutely eschewed by a no shit written confession from his attorney. So the attorney doesn't even get to try and make up some bullshit smokescreen to say his client was confused, because the attorney did it for the client.
Oh God! You know,
So
I don't have a jurist.
Neither Hunter nor Joe nor the campaign nor any party on their behalves have denied anything.
Well, they can't.
No,
because
they
the
can't.
stupidest lawyer in the country.
And well, and let's say that hadn't even happened with the lawyer. They're in a position right now where it's being released on a slow roll. That's risky business, because if they start denying things, then the next thing that happens is, oh yeah, you denied X, Y, and Z, but we hadn't released this piece of evidence yet.
Oh yeah, it's the Andrew Breitbart strategy. Exactly. He gave Anthony Weiner every opportunity to apologize and walk his statements back, and Anthony Weiner refused to. So then, like a boss, he just, oh, well, here's the pictures of you actually sexting people. Whoops.
Yep.
So, Scamble Trace. And for my money, I think this is actually the one that is the worst, because of all the implications that go with it.
It's a tough call. And teaser. Remember, scandal number 1 is we are at risk of installing a Chinese puppet into the White House.
We have confirmation that he and his son engaged in pay-to-play with foreign corrupt actors.
This is not Russia hoax speculation. This is not Pissgate.
Tell you.
There's no Christopher Steele mess going on in here. This is functionally confirmed. This man is a Chinese asset. A Chinese and Ukrainian asset. Now,
yeah, and have you heard that Adam Schiff is actually out telling people that this is Russian propaganda?
And that the director of the National Intelligence Association has come out and explicitly denounced Adam Schiff's claims of Russian propaganda, saying there is absolutely no evidence of that. It's especially important because Schiff's claim is that the intelligence community has communicated to him that they have evidence that this is a Russian propaganda maneuver, and the director of the NIA has come out and explicitly said, no, no one has said that to Adam Schiff. He is completely full of Schiff.
And besides, just real quick, let's say a Russian intelligence...
We still got a third scandal to get to.
Just real quick, let's say that this actually came from the Russians. As long as it's actually Hunter Biden's laptop, does it matter where it came from?
Let's just go ahead and tip a hat to the absolute brilliance and effectiveness of the KGB being able to somehow acquire Hunter Biden's laptop and deliver it to a computer repair shop, which is manned by a guy who's so paranoid that he didn't trust the FBI with the laptops, so he made backup copies of the hard drives on the laptops before turning it over to the FBI, and this is where we're about to get to scandal number 3, so that he retained the incriminating evidence, which he could then forward to a third agent, which turned out to be Mayor Giuliani. I'm just about to break into scandal number 3. I know you're all on the edge of your seat, but before I do, let me say, because Cameron, you rabbit holed us, because this is the thing that I was going to say about it. Scandal number 1, we're in danger of installing a Chinese puppet into the White House. And the terrifying thing is, of these 3 scandals, that is easily the least terrifying of the 3. That big tech has the power to conduct election tampering at the level that is currently conducting it is far more scary than Joe Biden's acts of treason. And we're not done yet. Scandal number 3. Now we're up to the sedition and treason hat trick, a trifecta of attempted coup, an absolute tripartite of mutiny. The FBI had the laptops in early December before the impeachment hearings proceeded. So, quick recap on why Donald Trump was impeached, on the charges he was impeached over. The allegation was that in the phone call with the president of the Ukraine, Donald Trump asked for him to begin an investigation into corruption between Joe Biden and Burisma. And apparently Trump's basis for that expectation, for that suspicion of wrongdoing, was based on Joe Biden saying, I demanded that they fire the prosecutor. And I said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion. And son of a bitch, they fired him. Okay, so Joe Biden admitted on tape to a crowd, in a tape that we've all seen 100 times, admitted to extorting an activity from a foreign leader using American taxpayer dollars and leveraging his power in the office of the vice president. And I might surprise you with this, I'm actually fully in support of that kind of activity as diplomatic activity conducted by our elected leaders. Extorting foreign dignitaries, foreign leaders, using our power and influence to demand that they take specific actions. I'm all for that. Here's where it gets bad.
It's the game. Yeah.
Right. Here's where it goes wrong. The suspicion is that because Hunter is working at Burisma, it's being done by Joe to make money for himself, to make money for his kid, and to basically sell himself into influence peddling and pay-to-play schemes. And the whole impeachment was based on the claim that Donald Trump suspected Joe Biden of wrongdoing only because of that statement. But before the impeachment happened, the FBI was in possession of a laptop that included emails which confirm that not only was Joe Biden involved with Burisma and the Ukraine and China, and not only was he doing so using his son Hunter as a go-between to hold equity to prevent him from getting busted on the bribery schemes, not only had he been invited to meet with these leaders at these companies and these foreign dignitaries, but specifically that Joe had a meeting with the leadership at Burisma before he extorted the Ukrainian president to fire the prosecutor looking into Burisma, where his son was employed without qualification. That means that with the FBI having their hands on this laptop before the impeachment hearings were in swing, that the impeachment... You're killing me, Cameron.
Sorry.
That the impeachment proceedings continued while the FBI was actively in possession of evidence that proved Trump's suspicions, therefore exonerated him from any suspicion of wrongdoing or corruption with regard to the desire to conduct an investigation into Biden's corruption. That means that even after removing the obviously and provedly corrupt and dangerous James Comey as the director of the FBI and installing Christopher Wray, that we have an FBI that is still actively, and because no other leadership has changed in the interim to now, we have to assume that we still have an FBI that is deeply corrupted and actively involved in the conduct of a coup, in the conduct of sedition and treason against the President of the United States of America, which means against the United States of America. It means that they are an active violation of their oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And I would refer you to to the last sentence in Article 3, Section 3, if any doubt in your mind remains that we need to start buying rope.
So, just to put a button on it, what this means, in summary, is that all the way back in 2019, the FBI had the smoking gun evidence. Remember, Trump said it's a perfect phone call. It was a perfect call. It was a beautiful call. All right. And we talked about this on the show. When you have that kind of call, it's not like they're texting each other in secret on their cell phones.
Right.
Like,
they're speaking to one another on a recorded line, and there's a transcript.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
This wasn't some high side SCI spooky shit. This is a phone call.
Right. With about a half a dozen people listening in, transcript. But the FBI had the smoking gun evidence that the entire basis for impeaching the president was utter bullshit. It literally would have taken a single fucking email and impeachment's off. And it makes me wonder, you remember, you go back to December of 2019, I was kind of confused by Nancy Pelosi pumping the brakes before Christmas on impeachment. I can't help but wonder if the old crone didn't get a little tip that says, Houston, we have a problem.
And she had to pump the brakes and grease some palms.
Uh-huh. Or, and I think this is the one that's more likely, hey, you wouldn't want your grandchildren to have a car accident, would you?
Boy,
it's dark, but I mean, that's...
You know what? Just real quick, let me tell you just exactly how I feel about that kind of activity. As much as I think we need to see Nancy Pelosi at the end of a rope for her treasonous acts against the United States of America, if you show me concrete proof, if Nancy Pelosi herself or an agent on her behalf were to show me concrete proof that she was extorted through a threat to her grandchildren, I would be more than happy to eliminate every connection to that threat personally, even for Nancy Pelosi. That's how seriously I take that kind of extortion.
Well, I mean,
speaking on a tactical and strategic level, that's no.
Well, I mean, there's two ways to influence somebody. You can do it positively, or you can do it negatively.
There's three. There's compensation.
Positive.
There's condign power. That's negative. A condign punishment, a severe punishment. And there's the cult of personality.
Oh, I guess I hadn't thought about it in those terms.
Oh, yeah. Baby, people will follow. Baby, oh, yeah. The preacher is the perfect example. The preacher has heaven, hell, and a wonderful speaking voice. The congregation would follow him through hell to heaven just on his personality alone, a good preacher. And then he also has the carrot and the stick.
Fair enough.
I know, Rod. I know you don't even have to say it. I'm going back to Galbraith and the Anatomy of Power. Thank you. But yeah, and I think as I've given that trifecta a great deal of thought. I do have a lot of faith that things occur in threes, and outside of that matter of faith, the argument and the description and definition that Galbraith offers on what he calls the three C's: condign, compensatory, condign, and condition. Condition being the cult of personality, as the only three methods of power, which is to control the outcomes of other people. His arguments are ironclad on that, even if he was a frickin' commie. And yes, Rod, Galbraith was a commie.
So, real quick before we jump off, there's a couple of updates that I'd like to give. We got the first video from Jordan Peterson in several months.
Yes.
And he's clearly still a little shaken by his experience, but he's back and he's still planning on continuing the Bible series. It's like, and to kind of ease back into it, he wants to do a deep dive into Exodus because his plan was to just chew through the Bible one book at a time and hopefully live long enough to make it all the way to Revelation. But in the interim, he's going to start tackling Proverbs so that he can kind of get back into the swing of things. And that is great news. On the other hand, we also got an update yesterday. And apparently, Rush Limbaugh's cancer has begun to get worse. And he's going to be altering his treatment schedule. And I actually listened to him talk about it yesterday. And I've listened to him several times talk about his cancer diagnosis. And I don't know if this was on purpose or not, or if it was just a slip, but it's the first time I've heard him use the word terminal to describe his cancer.
Now, okay, so I'm floored. Because I didn't get to listen to Rush yesterday. This is the first time hearing about it. Which is actually infuriating, because I did listen to the von Hessler doctrine on my way to Decatur and back. So I was in the truck for 2.5 hours on the round trip, and I didn't hear him mention it on the von Hessler doctrine. And now I kind of want to say, yo, Eric, WT fuck homeboy. How's about we get a little love for your fellow hosts? But
I mean, for the reason why independent political commentary with a bit of humorous twist exists. Like, Rush Limbaugh created this. I mean, like Steven Crowder's his own person, and whatnot. But I mean, Rush was the forerunner.
Yeah.
I mean, to us, he's basically the granddaddy of everything that we do. All the other hosts on talk radio, like, he created this format. And it just, if you're the praying kind, please do, because
Rush is our Da Vinci. I mean,
yeah.
Rush brought our minds around to sto lavando. I'm sitting still and staring at my feet, but my brain is just in overdrive. Hey, what are you doing? Sto lavando. I'm working.
Yep. But that's all I got. I gotta.
Well, okay. So Rush in your prayers. Also, Dan Bongino has
cancer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's a big spot on his neck, and so keep that in your thoughts and prayers. And I want to before I let you go, Cameron, I want to just one last little piece of housekeeping. So Thursday evening, I and at a minimum Zaluska the Slav, and probably, hopefully, Cameron, depending on how quick he can get his ass over here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to go work a full day to make sure.
No. Hey, nothing on. No, I ain't hating, brother. I understand. I get it. But if your work a full day takes you over time and you can't make it, but the objective is that you're going to be there. So Thursday evening, if you guys are anywhere near Conyers, Thursday evening, Old Town Conyers, we're having a town hall. David Strickland or Brian Strickland? Brian Strickland. He's one of our reps. He's out of McDonough. He'll be there. A few other officials. Of course, Alex McDonald from Polytech will be there. And Larry Cox, who does This Week in Rockdale with Alex McDonald on Facebook, will be there. I suspect Toby Dreyer will also be there. He's the chairman of our local GOP. Fantastic gentleman. And again, I'll be there running cameras. I'll have Zaluska the Slav strapped up in the torture device that we know as the Steadicam or stabilizer. So he'll be flying a camera around, getting the B-roll, getting your pretty faces, and you should be able to ask some questions of your representatives. So come on out, and guys, let me tell you something. At a Democrat rally, you're likely to accidentally get Molotoved onto fire. At a Trump rally, at a MAGA rally, at a conservative town hall, your biggest risk is catching COVID from a hug. Because, damn it, I will not be terrorized by a disease with a 99.9% survival rate away from showing affection to my fellow man.
Wow. In Jesus' name, amen. Well played, sir.
AJB says, if you were in Oregon, you couldn't keep me from it. Sadly, I don't know where you are, so not likely. Oh, no, AJ, it's cool. We're about 30 minutes southeast of Atlanta, so if you start driving now, we'll see you Thursday evening. I appreciate the sentiment, though. So, thanks guys for watching. It's been a good show. I think Amen to that, my friend. Amen.
Hey, like, share, and subscribe.
Absolutely.
If you've got any of your liberal friends that are like, oh my God, I can't believe that Joe Biden, blah, 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 link them this video and understand that their heads will explode from all the salt.
Oh, and appreciate it. Let me just make this offer to you. If you get any of your liberal friends that come up with, God forbid, and I know this is a far stretched possibility, that has an original argument or an original thought, please express that thought or argument to us. Send us a message leave it as a comment under one of our videos. Leave it as a message or a comment on the Brushfire Mind on Facebook. Send us a direct message through Twitter or tweet at us. You can find it all. Just if you search the Brushfire Mind on a social platform, we're there. Oh, we're going to be up on Locals soon. I haven't told Cameron about that yet, but I will shortly. I just started that process, and hope that's Dave Rubin's platform. So just started getting us set up with that. And once that goes right, we will essentially have a Brushfire Mind community only Facebook location. It'll be like a Facebook type program that's just members of this program, as in us and the audience. And you know, I'll leave it open so we can get the trolls in there, because who doesn't love to hunt trolls? So, thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to let Cameron go, and I'm going to hang out and chit-chat with you guys in the comments for just a second. I want to respond to AJ on this, but I know Cameron needs to get rolling. So, we will see y'all tomorrow, and yeah, y'all be safe out there. You be safe out there working, brother.
Yes, sir. Are you going to boot me? Okay.